Here we are, Law and Crime Network. Welcome back to the Law and Crime Network. I'm Linda Kenny-Bodden. I will be your host for this afternoon, 3 to 5. Tomorrow, I just have to tell you about what's happening tomorrow. Apparently, on tomorrow, we are going to start a new trial, and the trial is going to be Jason Carter. And you know what's interesting about this? He is accused of killing his mother, but the government didn't do anything initially. His father sued him in civil court in Iowa, won a civil case that his son had killed his mother, and then the law enforcement authorities brought this charge against him. It's based on some evidence dealing with fingerprints that may or may not have been there for years. My kind of case, a forensic case, an interesting case, but your kind of case, because you're going to stay with us and you are going to follow this case with us tomorrow. Now, what has happened since Bob Bianchi left this chair? Well, we know that the verdict watch is still ongoing in the Newman Raja case. He's accused of shooting to death Corey Jones. And the jury had, while I was coming into the network, a question. And what did they want to see? They wanted to see this video of the walkthrough that he gave that's over 50 minutes the day after, or the morning of the shooting, where he tells his attorneys, the union officers, the police investigators, his version of the story of how it came to be that Corey Jones, who was stranded for 2 hours on the highway, ended up dead. And that's what this case is about. So these two interesting cases that we have been following, that we're going to follow, and we want you to stay tuned with those interesting cases with us. I have as my guest this afternoon, the one, the only, the Mike Koribanics, Jersey boy.
Thank
and
you.
We're going to be talking soon. I just have a little technical difficulty because I apparently have lost sound in my ear. You know, this is live TV, so yeah, barely. Okay, so we're also going to talk about, guess what? Another case that hit the news this morning. R. Kelly. Now, I noticed when I was watching Bob Bianchi, he didn't know who R. Kelly was. He's got a number of different hats. But as a songwriter, he's made a fortune. But he was accused a number of years ago of pornography, and he beat those charges, as they say in the vernacular. And he's now accused of 10 counts of sexual type crimes under Illinois law. He's represented by Steve Greenberg, who's been on the air. And he gave this very unusual interview as a client this morning to CBS News, to Gayle King. Very unusual interview. That's me as a criminal defense attorney can say that. And we'd like to do some of the clips, listen to some of the clips, and so we can talk about it, because, my God, even I was shocked.
The one case in which you were acquitted. I'm talking about the other cases where women have come forward and said, R. Kelly had sex with me when I was under the age of 18. R. Kelly was abusive to me, emotionally and physically and verbally. R. Kelly took me in a black room where unspeakable things happened. This is what they're saying about you.
Not true.
These aren't old rumors.
Not true. Whether they're old rumors, new rumors,
why would they
future
say this
rumors,
about you?
Not true.
Well,
how stupid would it be for R. Kelly, with all I've been through in my way past, to hold somebody, let alone 4, 5, 6, 50, you said. How stupid would I be to do that?
I didn't say you were
That's
holding.
stupid, guys.
I didn't.
Is this camera on me?
Yes, it's on.
That's stupid. Use your common sense. Don't forget the blogs. Forget how you feel about me. Hate me if you want to, love me if you want, but just use your common sense. How stupid would it be for me to, with my crazy past and what I've been through, oh, right now I just think I need to be a monster and hold girls against their will, chain them up in my basement, and don't let them eat and don't let them out unless they need some shoes down the street from their uncle. Robert, stop it. Y'all quit playing. Quit playing. Robert. I didn't do this stuff. This is not me. I'm fighting for my life. Y'all killing me with this. I gave y'all 30 years of my career.
Robert.
30 years of my career. Y'all trying to kill me. You're killing me, man. This is not about music. I'm trying to have a relationship with my kids, and I can't do it. Y'all just don't want to believe the truth. You don't want to believe it.
At this point, we briefly pause the interview to give Kelly a moment. His publicist helped calm him down.
I hope this camera keep going.
No, we're going to let the camera keep rolling.
This is not, doesn't even make sense. Why would I hold all these women?
Wow. So, Mike Koribanics, my Jersey boy, who's been both a prosecutor and is now a defense attorney, you have R. Kelly as a client. Did you authorize this interview?
I would not. One of the things I found very interesting about the clip we just watched.
No, wait. Let's talk. Would you authorize the interview, just like a defense attorney?
No, I would not.
Okay, good. Now tell me why.
But what bothered me was there was a publicist there, and I think you've got to make a decision when you take this case, is are you defending somebody or you're the public relations? I think too much of what's going on in the public eye with all investigations, but specifically this, is lawyers are forgetting who they are.
Well, you know what? It may not necessarily be the lawyers. It may be the clients, right? So if you have a client that wants to attack the media because the media has been attacking them, what do you say to the client? You're now Stephen Goldberg. What do you say?
Linda, you and I have been doing this quite a while.
No, that's not fair. That's not.
And
fair.
you get
I started when I was 10. I was a long time.
But the point is this: is we both, and I'm sure you say the same thing to a client. There's only one captain of the ship, and that's the lawyer. And if that client doesn't want to follow your advice, I don't care how big the check he or she writes to you.
Can't be big enough.
It can't be big enough because it'll never compensate you for your loss of integrity in the profession, nor will it compensate you for your malpractice problems you may have down the road.
Malpractice 101. But let me just say
it's
this.
Scary.
Some of the points he made, I know his temperament was just terrible, and if I'm Steve Goldberg right now, I'm just like wiping my brow. However, some of the points he made when he sounded more coaching was like, okay, look, why would I do this? Those are the appeal that the attorney is going to make. Let's just take him out for a second. Let's say you're seeing a glimpse into what the attorney is going to say, aren't you, in the case?
Yes and no. The thing I don't like about it is the only people that matter are the people in the jury, because he is fighting for his life. He's not fighting for a bigger record deal. He's not fighting for a public relations thing. So he better wait till he gets those people in the jury and see what the state has or the government has to prove against them. I think this was a very bad move because, number one, he was speaking about some of the allegations. If I'm the prosecutor and he later gets on the stand.
Cross-examination 101.
That's right, well, you didn't even see the discovery at this point. How did you know these were allegations?
Well, he may have seen some of it over the years. But you know what? We could talk about this all day, but now we have to talk about something else. And I can't wrap my head around this as a defense attorney. Chris Watts, who killed his wife and his 2 children, 4 years old, 3 years old, Bella, Cece. It's come out now how it happened. Now he's in jail. Apparently, once that jail cell closed, he found God, okay? So he wants to clean his soul. And it turns out not only did he kill his wife, but he drove his 2 children with his wife's dead body out to the oil fields. He, in front of Bella, killed Cece by smothering her with Cece's blanket, smothering her in front of the little child. And then Bella unhooked her seatbelt and pleaded with her father, Dad, please don't do to me what you did to Cece. I cannot comprehend this. We're going to watch a clip and see if you can.
Details are emerging about the new confession Chris Watts gave in the murder of his pregnant wife and 2 children. In the first part of a 2-part special on Dr. Phil, a lawyer for Shanann Watts' family describes the fight that prompted Chris Watts to murder his wife.
In that fight, he essentially confessed to having an affair, that he wanted a divorce, that it was pretty much over between them. And she had said something to the effect of, well, you're not going to see the kids again. As a consequence of that conversation, he strangled her.
The attorney, Stephen Lambert, then says Shanann and Chris's 4-year-old daughter, Bella, walked into the room.
From our understanding, Bella did not witness the actual killing of her mother, Shanann. It was not until Chris was in the process of trying to dispose of Shanann's body, essentially wrapping her up in the sheet. While he was doing that, Bella walked in and asked, "What are you doing with Mommy?"
Watts initially claimed he had no involvement in his wife and kids going missing. Then he confessed to murdering Shanann, but says it was in response to her killing the children. Now it seems the full confession is coming out.
With this tape being out there with the information on it, finally puts to bed any speculation that Chris had found Bella and Celeste dead at the hands of Shanann, and then in a fit of rage murdered Shanann, that these tapes put to rest any of that kind of speculation, and that Shanann's memory can be put to rest as a loving mother and a caring wife.
Watts was sentenced to consecutive life sentences in November. The Colorado Bureau of Investigations is expecting to publicize a written report and audio of Watts' interview on Thursday.
You know, today in the Catholic Church, it is Ash Wednesday, and I think the parents of Shanann, the grandparents, really have to, they have to find God. They found God. God bless them for not wanting the death penalty in this. I'd probably want to take a shotgun out and learn how to use it. With that word of advice that you're not to follow, we have to go to a quick break. Okay, so Mike, that was the defense attorney. The prosecutor on the rebuttal argument gets up there, who was the main prosecutor, the man, and gets up and said, this was hunting. Hunting, H-U-N-T-I-N-G. There's nothing more about it. That's what Raja did that night. If you're a defense attorney and you know you're going to have that kind of passion coming, does this kind of argument that you're kind of slow and casual, does it make sense?
Well, you know, it's so funny because no matter what kind of case you try, you have to be comfortable in your own skin. You know, you have to be the person who comes in what they're comfortable with, because someone who's very mellow, who tries to be aggressive, it never works, and vice versa. The only problem with this kind of style I see in a defense attorney in this kind of case, which has a lot of passion, is it really seems like you're just passing through. At times I felt like this defense attorney is just passing through. Just like, you know, right, I'll argue this because I gotta.
And you know his client was just passing through because the transcript, you good? I'm good, really? Yeah, I'm good, really? Yeah. Get your effing hands up. Get your effing hands up. Hold on. Get your effing hands up. So his client had a lot of passion the night that he shot Corey Jones, right?
And I think really that's where the defense really should hone in more than who moved how many feet or whatever, things of that nature. Because the one thing that's in this case, regardless of what side you're coming down on or what you think, is there was a gun present. So it sort of takes that hunting away. Because really, to counteract that, you'd say, well, most people don't go hunting after things with weapons themselves.
Well,
or animals or things of that nature. The argument
here is that when he gave, when Raja gave, and we'll have to talk about this more later, but that when Raja gave the statement, okay, he said that he had shot Corey Jones, he shot somebody 3 or 4 times, and then later said, I don't know if he hit him, I'm looking for him, and the defense attorney says, well, he thinks he may have fallen at this point. We have to go to break. There's so much to talk about, but we'll be back after this. Okay, so that is Newman Raja the morning after he shot Corey Jones to death. Unlike his demeanor, Mike Koribanics, in the courtroom, where he's kind of like hungover, kind of looks very sorry for what he did. Now, I didn't hear him say the word police, drop the effing gun. Did you?
No, I did
okay,
not.
Now one follow. Let me do a follow-up for it. I didn't hear him call in to the stop to another officer and say, oh, excuse me, I've got a car on the side of the road. Can I have backup now before I go in and investigate this? I didn't hear that, do you?
I did not.
No, I didn't see any police uniform, did you?
I did not.
Badge?
No.
No. All right, so when he's doing this, would you, as his attorney, let him get fired, or would you have let him give this walkthrough statement? And oh, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, we just finished that, looking at that. The same time, the jurors finished looking at it in the courtroom. How ironic is that, Mike Koribanics?
Well, am I done with cross-examination?
Yes,
Can I answer now?
Cross-examination. It's by nature, what can I say?
No, you know, this is a very damaging, I would never let him go through this kind of videotaping statement after he just got done with a shooting. The interesting thing is they let him do that, and they put an expert on to say that those kind of interviews are not reliable because of the trauma.
And the expert didn't even interview him, right?
It was just really crazy, because you're saying, well, you should have never let him give those kind of statements. I think it's very damaging for somebody so close after the traumatic event to do that and then have to explain it to a jury.
Well, you know, except that when people are involved, you and I, if we were involved in a shooting, we'd have to give a statement right after. We can't say, excuse me, I need to calm down because I may have perception distortion. Because they would say, if you don't give a statement, that is an indicator that you're guilty.
Well, that's one thing. I mean, I don't know about Florida's jurisdiction, but in you know, I know in New Jersey, and when we represent police officers, that they have the option of not to give a statement under their Fifth Amendment right.
Then they get fired.
But they must suffer the consequence. But, you know, in a case like this where you've got to weigh, you know, if you're weighing your job against life in prison, I think the safe bet is the job will be there if you get cleared and if there's nothing wrong.
So there seems to be a theme here today. R. Kelly, right? R. Kelly gave a statement that we agree that probably shouldn't have. Newman Raja gave a statement that we agree he probably shouldn't have. So when we come back, we're going to have to take a break first. But when we come back on the other side, the most favorite part of my testimony, which we're going to pick apart, is the medical testimony from the trial. You know I'm into that as a forensics person who loves forensics. I don't know. We got to go to a break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to keep you advised about what just happened in the courtroom. You know, whenever we deal with a homicide case, whether or not someone's guilty or innocent, somebody got killed. And when the body is shown, and usually it gets shown to the jurors, but also the family and people in the gallery, up on a large screen, it is just a horrible, horrible experience for everyone in the courtroom, including defense attorneys. But it just so happened that the body of Corey Jones was shown on the screen, and people are wiping tears in the gallery. Some got up and walked out. I assume it's his family or loved ones walked out. And Raja, we are told from our wonderful producer, Kathy Russin, that he had his head down all the time. And, you know, I'm just going to look down now, but that he wasn't looking at the screen to see what he had done, whether or not it was criminal or not. It's just horrible. Anyhow, we'll keep you advised if more happens. But Mike Koribanics, just real quickly, I'm not going to discuss the specifics of the medical argument right now, but right now, the judge isn't liking this argument about whether or not Dr. Giusti could testify that, in her opinion, Corey Jones was felled about where he was shot, which is 40 yards away from the gun. Was he? You could tell by his body language.
Yeah, this judge, I think this judge is really likes to cut to the chase. He's very direct, it appears, in how he makes his rulings. He said, we're done with that part, we're done with this part. So I think these attorneys need to be a little more careful on what they're fighting over.
Yeah, and in this one, that of course is not a Fry motion. It's not Fry if a medical examiner's opinion where somebody, that's what they do, where they were shot and how quickly they died. But also then the defense wanted to call 3 experts to the prosecution's 1, and the judge said, ain't having that. That not happening. You're not going to pile up here. And that's the right ruling, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, I think it is. And I think defense always needs to really think twice about how they're going to use their experts, because you don't want to ever have that jury think the burden shifting to you. And I think that's where they may be in a dangerous game here.
Because we don't take on the burden. We don't take on the burden. Now, along with not taking on the burden here, there were some personal arguments here. The defense accused the prosecution of violating Brady, which can be an incredible argument if it's true. But here, by saying, well, you may have called other people that we don't know about, that you didn't decide tell us about, and maybe they gave you favorable inferences. That's not the kind of argument that a judge wants to hear, and certainly the prosecutor called them on that. Right.
That's offensive to an attorney. If you're going to start on either side, talk about disclosing or really your character as an attorney, you better have some good grounds for that, and you better couch it in the right words. So if in case you're wrong, there's at least some sort of respect being shown there, and I think that's dangerous.
Yeah, well, you know what? This case is a tragedy all along. It's disrupted everyone's lives. We're going to continue to follow it for verdict, but we have to take one of those little teeny weeny breaks. Stay with us and be back on the other side to discuss more. So the question is, was Corey Jones shot where the gun was, or was he shot 40 yards away? I was doing a little exercise program here. I happen to have those 2 textbooks. I told you about it. Dr. Spitz, who actually is a friend of mine, who I've used in trials, his textbook actually talks about a .38 caliber going through a left lung and a heart. It does not talk about a 45 caliber bullet going to, or a 40 caliber bullet going through a heart and aorta and 2 lungs, which means your lungs are collapsed, you can't breathe. Dr. DeMaio, who I used in the Spectre case, also has testified for me. What he talks about is a bullet perforating an aorta, left main pulmonary artery, and a left lung. Again, different wounds than Corey Jones has. But my question to you is, despite that, Vincent Hill, who is a host here at Law&Crime, and thank you for being my guest today, okay, does it matter in this case?
It doesn't matter, Linda. I mean, think about Mike Tyson. He used to knock people out with his uppercut. He fought Holyfield. What did he have to do? He had to bite him on the ear. He couldn't knock him out. Not everyone is the same, so you can go through all the science you want. You can go through all the books. It doesn't matter. That's not Corey Jones.
And Mike Koribanics, there was some indication from a witness in the hotel room who saw the Newman Raja get into the car of Corey Jones, and then the gun is found 70 feet away. Could the prosecution have inferred, or could the jury infer, even without an argument, that indeed he picked up that gun and he threw it away?
I think that's going to be in the back of every juror's head in this. But what really, really intrigued me, and I just picked this up, and if the prosecutor did this in a summation using the word hunting,
yes,
the defense expert used the analogy of an animal being shot and that it could run. And it's never good when the prosecutor uses your expert's words to resonate in the juries, and it fits into their theme of the case.
Yeah, and Judge Ashley Wilcott, who is in, I don't know if it's any warmer, Atlanta, Georgia. How are you?
I'm good, not warmer. Good to see you, Linda.
Okay, so we are all defense attorneys and prosecutors here. You are the judge. Were the right rulings made about whether or not Dr. Giusti could say that indeed where Corey Jones was shot was about where he fell? Kinetic energy may have driven him forward, but he wasn't running very far.
Well, I think that absolutely it was the right decision to allow both of these experts to testify by the court, because both of them do have differing opinions, but the defense did a really artful job with their expert explaining why his opinion was different than Dr. Giusti. He specifically said, listen, two things. She did not take fight or flight into account, nor did she think about or take into account the 10 to 15 seconds of reserve that they had to be able to run further. So for that reason, I think it was the right decision to allow both of these experts to testify.
Well, it may have been the right decision, but I don't know what effect it's going to have at Vincent's point. But anyhow, we can't determine that, but we are following. The jury's on verdict watch right now. We have to take a quick break, and hopefully when we come back, something will be happening in that courtroom. Stay tuned. That's Frank Piazza. He is an expert for the defense, and he said there was about 6.3 seconds, but there was definitely a human voice in a short period of time before Corey Jones says the words, huh, that we hear on the roadside assistance tape. Vincent Hill, you've been there, police officer, you've done this. Could 4 syllables, 5 syllables, 6 syllables, does it make a difference here again?
Well, it does make a difference, Linda, and here's why. Because Raja said, in his recorded statement, hey man, police, may I help you? He said it several times. Hey man, police, may I help you? That's more than 4. If my math is right, that's 7 syllables. So it makes a huge difference in this case.
And Mike Koribanics, you represent police officers in this situation. If Corey Jones said, huh, even given the benefit of the doubt, if Corey Jones said, huh, that he couldn't hear, but then you good, I'm good, really, doesn't the you good, I'm really take away anything that was said before?
I just can't. I can't help contain myself. When sometimes defense puts on experts, I just, being a defense attorney, like to keep the government to their burden of proof. You would think that, I think this hurts the defense. It hurts them very badly, because the one thing a police officer wants somebody to know is he's a police officer. If the expert can't find it, pulling it out, how is this man supposed to know whether he's a police officer or not?
I didn't think, Judge Ashley Wilcott, I didn't think about that. The expert can't pull it out. He can't even hear from the super enhanced version. What say you as a judge?
Well, I agree with Mike, but let's take that one step further, Linda. And here's the issue I have. I think a jury is going to be listening to this testimony. They've heard that recording. They've asked for the recording to listen to it more during deliberations if they choose to. They are not going to be able to make out the words either. So I think they're not going to give any credence to anything that might or might not have been said, because frankly, they can't hear it. They're not going to think that it was said. That's just my opinion.
Wow. So we do have some agreement between the judge, the defense attorney, and the former police officer. I have to ponder that. We're going to go to break. The jury's in deliberation. We'll be back after the break. Stay tuned with us.